Hey, Pullman,
Morning, sir.
how you doing? I gotta see if we get anybody to show up today. How's that?
I sent
So,
out 50 invites.
huh?
I sent out 50 invites.
You did.
I did.
All
Just saying.
right. Well, I appreciate that. So I'm gonna ask everybody to go on mute eventually, but my camera's kind of crooked. Is that better? I think that's better. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah,
Light's a little weird. So um it's a little strange. How you been?
good. I think we're moving.
Oh, you're moving?
As in getting things done.
Oh, okay. I gotta
Yeah.
ask a question. When you say you're moving, I'm
Sorry.
like, what does that mean?
No. Right.
I think like you like that light better, or do you like this light? Which one seems better?
I like that one.
This one? Okay.
More ambiance.
More ambiance. Um, there. Okay.
So
Well,
no, my
we
wife
got you.
effectively went salary at the shop.
Say it
This,
again.
my wife effectively went salary at the shop. She found out like Thursday and Friday, and it started this week. So
Oh, wow. Well,
uh,
congratulations to her.
she can work more like 40 hours a week instead of 50 or 60. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, it'll be a good thing.
That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
I got a lot going on, but we'll talk about that in our morning meetings. So
Cool.
yeah. So can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Just making show, Grasshopper. Let me see something real quick. Let me go here, go there. You see that screen right there?
It's loading. Yep.
Okay, you see the full screen or do you see my notes?
Full screen.
Okay.
I, I see Nick just joined.
Nick just joined. Nick, how you doing, sir?
Great, Julian. Thanks for having us.
Hey man, thanks for being here, buddy.
Absolutely.
Um, Give me one second. Getting everybody joining. Hey Trish, long time no talk to. It's a
How
long
are
time
you?
no talk. Well, how are you?
Good, good.
It's a long time no talk to. How you been,
Yeah,
Grasshopper?
good, good. I'm glad you told me about this. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I am too, sort of. Um, yeah, it's been a, there it is. Okay. Whew. All right. You guys don't know, I was freaking out because I've had a lot of issues with my computer and it's been driving me crazy. And I have so much stuff on it. And I started this presentation and then I lost it. I had to redo it. And then I just cleaned it up this morning and then I couldn't find it. So I wanted to know, Coleman, could you tell I was kind of freaking out for a second, or could you even tell?
Yeah. No, I mean, you always do whenever you present. Everybody does. Make sure that all the technology is working and
Oh man, it was insane. So anyway,
good.
that was freaking me out for just a second. I feel better now. What happened was I had a wrong slide up. Okay. Awesome. And we got Tyler in the house, Sandy's in the house. Trish, you're located where again?
She's gone.
No, I'm here. I'm in Florida, so I'm on
Florida,
the East
that's right.
Coast.
That's right. You're in a space where
Yeah.
I'm jealous. But so we can swap houses anytime you like, all right?
Sure.
And we got Tyler in the house. Tyler, we supposed to have coffee. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. I know you're a trainer now, so you're up in the morning. You should be dressed and ready to go. So
Yes, yes.
you,
I'm all right. How about yourself?
well, you can show your face, right? Okay. Um, so we're going to start soon. I'm just doing this. I'm going to let you guys know. I'm going to share some screens, but I'm also going to give you guys a little activities as well. I'm going to start now because I want to make sure that we get enough in because I sometimes tend to put a lot of slides into a very short presentation. And so my goal is to not be as fast and rushed and focused on like just a few things. So I want to share a few slides. I'm going to also go into a couple of activities for you guys. And also I'm going to do this for my own purposes to help me develop a product around NLP and behavioral science that I can give out. So you guys are kind of like my test subjects in some ways. So I want to make sure you guys are open to that. So I will use some of you for some of that activities. Is that okay? Yeah. Nick, it's good to see your face, man. 2D. That's awesome. Awesome. It's good to see you. So, all right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, and by the way, I have a bunch of people on YouTube. This is YouTube live too. So I'm actually a lot of people, because I work with a lot of people overseas, or I have. And because of that, a lot of them don't use LinkedIn. A lot of people, ironically, do not use LinkedIn, especially in the Gen Z world. They leverage, social media like Instagrams and YouTube. I would say TikTok and YouTube. So that's why I have it on there as well. So I'm going to go ahead and start and share a couple of screens, and we'll go from there. All righty. So let me share my screens. And you guys give me a thumbs up when you can. Let me know you see it. Okay. So let me know when you see
You're
it.
good.
All right.
Yep.
So what I'm going to ask is that you unmute and just be on mute for a little while, just in case. And what I want to make sure is that we consider, if you have something in the background like a dog or something like that. Okay. So let me do one more thing real quick. Oh my goodness. When I share a screen, there's certain things I got to do to make sure that it works. One of them is make sure that the sound is on. And that's what I have to do now too. Okay. All right. So here we go. All right, so you guys know who I am, Julian Sado. I'm here to talk to you about mastering NLP and behavioral science. Ironically, you guys know that there's no way I'm going to give you an opportunity to master it in less than an hour. But we are going to have some ideas of how it works. And I hope that in the process of doing this, you'll recognize that this is something you should be interested in. And it has more to do with the way our culture's turning. And it hasn't changed much when it comes to human nature, but the way we filter information and how we filter our own perspective of life is changing. And so I want to make sure that everyone that I can touch starts thinking about mastering NLP. The concept, the word master, is a student. Did you guys know the word master actually means continual student, not someone who's actually figured it out, but is always working? And so I want you guys to really always be working on developing a skill that goes towards understanding personal neurolinguistic programming. So that's why I have this here, and I want you guys to kind of see it. So with that said, I'm going to actually show you something I think you guys are going to understand. Who remembers this movie? Does anybody remember this movie? What am I talking about here? Yeah, right. And you guys want you, yeah, The Matrix. I want you guys to use the chat too when you can. So I want you
This
to figure something out.
is the
Well, actually,
construct. It's our loading program. We can load anything from clothing to equipment, weapons, training simulations, anything we need.
Right now, we're inside a computer program.
Is it really so hard to believe? Your clothes are different, the plugs in your arms and head are gone. Your hair has changed. Your appearance now is what we call residual self-image.
what do you guys think of that? This is one of the greatest movies of all time, if you don't mind seeing people killed and no blood and stuff. But seriously, what do you guys think of that? What he just said, your self-image, residual self-image. What does that mean to you? And you can take yourself off mute.
I think the brain is a powerful tool, and thoughts matter, is what I continue to tell my kids.
Yeah, it's so true. So here's I want you to think about it. Thoughts matter. I want you guys to answer this question. 4,800. I'm going to ask you guys, what does that mean? I'm going to show you a few things. Does that the number of people I invited to this event? Is it the amount of money in my checking account? Is it what I pay for my mortgage? How much money I make in a week? Or is it the average number of negative thoughts we have in a day? Which one do you think it is? You can use the chat or you can just say it out loud. Hey, Brian, good to see you. Anybody want to tell me what they think it is? I see. Anybody?
E.
E. Exactly. E. Now, if that's the case, if it's actually we have over 4,800 negative thoughts a day about ourselves, what does that say about the residual self-image that we have, and how does that impact our body? And that's where NLP comes into play, and that's what I want to talk about. It is so imperative to understand the filtering that we put into our brains as if it's normal. And NLP is a great way to do it, but I'm going to show you something that's really different about NLP that a lot of people don't discuss. And I want you to really consider how you're going to address this in your future after this session. I hope you guys see it. You guys can see, you guys don't know, all of you know me on LinkedIn, so I don't need to show you the screen, but that's just me on LinkedIn. You guys can find me pretty easily. I use LinkedIn more than anything else, but at the same time, I'm going to start using YouTube more. I'm going to start using Instagram more because I want to start getting the word out. But you're going to find out why I have not done this in the past. And Pullman, you know me. I've been very secretive and behind the curtain kind of guy, and I'm gonna show my own personal stories behind why that is, so you can see your own personal story to see why you are the way you are too. So it's really interesting how that works. So I've been doing a lot of training. I do communication program from DISC, and also I have the thing called Demo that teaches people how to communicate. I actually do, Sandy and I created this PDF years ago, and I think we're just now starting to tell people about it. It shows you how the health and nutrition impacts the way you think, how you live, how you feel, and how it affects your body and your work. Adaptation of leadership is a training program. It's usually my seminars. And then I created this. You guys don't know this, but I gave out over 4,000 of these when COVID happened. It was virtual leadership. And I sent these PDFs to over 4,000 people, helping leaders how to manage people virtually. And it was an opportunity I didn't take advantage of, but I did give people some resources on how to use neurolinguistic programming or behavior in 2D versus like in person. So now, just so you guys know, I'm really heavily focused on two different things, and it's something I have passion for. One is my Gen Z book. It has nothing to do with Gen Z, it has everything to do with leadership and business and communication in a modern era with technology and AI. And I took business models from Gen Z companies that are growing substantially and what they do as leaders compared to what legacy leaders do, and how it changes dynamics of the environment of the company, how it changes retention, how it changes morale and engagement and sales. So I show those things and I give you the history of work and why it's important to know that. But the one thing that I'm really passionate about now, which I've had some success with recently, is this one thing. It's the adaptation of change. It's an 8-hour all-day workshop for leaders in person. And it is my signature. It's something I'm really proud of. I put a lot into this. It is almost like it goes into NLP, behavioral science. It goes into metaphysics and energy and how everything matters. And it's really a lot of fun. So if you know anybody who benefits from that, it's a perfect way to do a game changer when it comes to your culture and business. So I want you to put that up front. But before I get started, I want you guys to actually do me a favor, use a piece of paper. And I want you to have, I know Brian has a piece of paper. I see it. I see his piece of paper there. And I want you guys to really consider a few things. I have to ask this up front because we all have an ego, and there's nothing wrong with egos. We need it to survive. It's what makes you say hi to people you're interested in. Okay, so nothing wrong with that. But what I'm about to share is going to be one of those things where it's going to challenge your perspective. And I liked Bashar when he says, people don't go to the dentist for looking at good teeth. They look at the bad teeth, and we accept that. It's hard for us to want to change because as humans, we like to be consistent in what we know, and we want to make sure we don't feel stupid. So I don't want to challenge you in some ways, but I do want to challenge you in one way. So I want you to actually write on a piece of paper from a scale of 1 to 10. And it really goes back to being honest with yourself. A scale of 1 to 10, how open are you to learn something new? Like seriously, how willing are you to learn something new? And be honest. And I mean something new, meaning being challenged at what you think you know. And this is what Jim Rohn told me once, and actually a few other mentors. When they started teaching me, they paid attention to my body language and they say, look, you're not ready to learn this because all you're doing is thinking how to debunk it, or what do you call it? Debunk it, and actually give me like reasons why not. So you have to be open to hear something you've never heard or challenge in what you think to be true. The second one I want you to consider as a concept is doing something that feels uncomfortable. What's the scale of 1 to 10? Are you willing to do something that's uncomfortable? Be honest with yourself. Now, what I mean by that is, we want gratification really quickly. We have nothing now in this culture that has not been impacted by the 1, 2, 3 steps to get something done, which is part of a sales process to make you think it's easy to do. And then you buy the product and then you realize it's not as easy as they claimed. And then you take it personal, like there's something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. That is a sales pitch. There is nothing easy about NLP and behavioral science. I've been studying this for well since my first early 30s, I would say, when I first was suicidal because of my transition in life and changes. And it took to this day, I'm still learning. I'm still trying to grasp all the things that I'm been reading about and trying to apply to my life. So I want you guys to think about that. And then that means you're committed to it. And then I want you guys to actually, the last question, are you willing to shut off the critic? I want to make sure from a scale of 1 to 10, will you shut off the critic? Now, if you've answered all those questions and you have different numbers, you're really honest. If you have all tens, ask yourself from 1 to 10, how honest are you with yourself? Because naturally we fight what we don't know. So I just want you to think about that. All right. So you guys ready? Okay. Raise your hand if you're ready. Left hand if you're ready. I got one. I got one. Okay. All right. I got a few people ready. All right. Raise your right hand if you're breathing. Okay. Nick, you better raise your hand. Come on, seriously? Okay. All right. All right. So, all right, everybody look at this. You've seen, some of you have seen this. It's fine that you have, but you can play the game. But I want you to use the chat or you can come off mute. I would love to have you come off mute just to tell me what you think you see. I want you to look at that dot and I want you to actually physically take your body and your head and move your head back and forth and tell me what's happening with that picture right now. Anybody want to just take yourself off mute and tell me what's happening? Hey, Jason, good to see you.
It looks like the circles are moving.
Okay. All right. Can I use you as an example here, Trish?
Sure.
All right. So, Trish, you just said it looks like the circles are moving. So I asked you what's happening, and you said it looks like the circles are moving. So does it look like the circles are moving, or is it circles moving? Are the circles moving?
It looks like they're moving.
Right. So we see things and it looks like they're moving, but are they moving?
No.
So the reality is we see things and we respond to what we feel we see, not what we see. So you answered it pretty correctly. Most, and be honest with you, a lot of people say it's moving. And I'm like, no, it's not moving. You know better than that. But perception gives us our reality. Most of us react to what we feel we see, never considering what we see. And so the goal in NLP and behavior is to focus on what is, not what we feel is. That's a very important thing. Focus on what is, not what we feel is. I know it's a weird way to put English language, but put it in perspective. And now a lot of you might know this person. And by the way, type in the chat who you listen to on YouTube or who do you follow? Who are your influencers? Do you guys listen to Andrew, or do you listen to I don't know, Huberman? Do you listen to, I don't know, Joe Rogan? Type in the chat who you guys listen to. Everyone has somebody they're listening to right now on YouTube. And I just find it fascinating that we're a YouTube society. Chris Voss, anybody? All right. So we got some people in there. Okay, so you guys know that there's a lot of people influencers out there, and we listen to them because we trust them, but we don't see them. We might see their 3-minute video, but we don't see the 23 hours and 57 minutes of their life, but we take what they say as reality. Nothing wrong with that, but it doesn't necessarily mean it follows your reality. So I want you guys to see that everything you hear is a perception. So Jim Quick is a really famous person who's known for, mind control, mind science and being able to have memory. But people don't know that, but know about his disabilities he had. But many of us grew up learning certain ways. And you guys, some of you know that I grew up in Hollywood. So I grew up behind the scenes. I grew up in a space where people were showing their true selves behind the curtain. And then I saw who they were to the world. And as a young kid, it fascinated me that what I saw and the world adored was completely opposite of who they were the majority of their life. And I think that's where I first got the interest in behavior because it was part of my survival mechanism to understand some of these behaviors that I saw personally from being abused and all the other things that I went through. So I want you guys to understand that the brain, what he says, the mind controls so much, and yet there is no owner's manual. Think about that. And it's the greatest asset we have. So, and I love his quote. It's not about how smart you are. It's how are you smart. That is the key. And some of you know that I was mentored by Jim Rohn, and Jim Rohn was a great guy. I spent a little time with him, not as long as I wished looking back, but I'm gonna tell you one of the things that he said, and people know this quote, and I use it this day, and he says, work harder on yourself than you do on your job. And I say this to every leader. Titles, your job has nothing to do with who you are. Who you are internally is what's being reflected by everything. And I'm going to show you how NLP teaches you that. So, Psycho Cybernetics. Has anybody read this book before? It's a great, great book. It is one of the books that actually will give you some really good intel about how the psyche is. Maxwell Maltz was a plastic surgeon who noticed when he changed the slightest thing on a person, maybe a nose job, a chin, their friends did not notice because it was so subtle. But those people lives improved because they felt different. But he also noticed that a lot of people needed more surgery. They kept going back because they never really addressed the real issues of what they felt inside. And it's going back to you can do all the tricks, you can go to all the training seminars, you can take a lesson, you can read a book, but it's the application that is going to make the difference. And this is where NLP comes into play because what I'm about to show you today, I want you guys to practice and I want you to come back to me and see if it worked. And I think it will. One of them is going to take a little work, but I think you will like it. Hey, C's here too. Awesome. All right. So I want you guys to take a piece of paper and write something down. And I want you to write it down honestly. I can't see the paper. So this is between you and you. But I want you to write down, you don't have to write the questions, just write 1, 2, 3, 4. And I want you to write your answer, your honest answer to these questions. And that goes for you too, Tyler. And C's here. And I got Rug. Rug, how do you pronounce your name? Rug? Is it Raji?
Ranjanique.
Ranjini? Why you put Rug there? I can't even recognize you. I can barely see you. I have a small screen. Good to see you, buddy.
Likewise.
All right, take it off mute. All right, put them back on mute though. But go ahead and write the answers to these, all right? And when you're done, put your thumb up so I know you're done. Or a gesture on the screen. All right, I'm gonna give you guys, it says 5 minutes, but I'm giving you guys 3. I'm sorry. All right, so I hope you guys have the questions there. Don't give me the answers right now, but we're gonna go back to this, okay? So, so what is NLP? So let's talk about that. So NLP basically is neuro-linguistic programming, study of how language and thought patterns programs your neurology to create specific results, create specific results. It is really not a fascinating study because it's been done for thousands of years, but we made it famous in the US and I'll show you why. But neuro, so you know what visual and auditory means, but the other two is about feelings, movement, and the other one is the olfactory is about fancy way of saying smell and taste. So, how many of you have ever smelled something that reminds you of your, Thanksgiving when you were a kid or something like that? It's the same thing, right? So, also feelings. You go into a certain room, you might feel something. You go to your old high school. Has everybody been to their old high school and everything looks smaller? And it's weird. It's like, man, that was where I went to high school. It's just a weird feeling. So, those are different sensories in your body. We talk about a few, but we have about 33 different sensors. Now, linguistic. This one is probably the one that's most famous because we talk about words. And words, I'm going to show you a really interesting thing about neurolinguistic programming that a lot of people don't understand about when it comes to words. We water it down, but I'm going to show you a really intense thing about it. But this one's really about language, internal dialogue, word choices and questions you ask, and the meanings you give it. And then the next one is really about the really big picture is programming. This is all about like basically beliefs and strategies and behaviors and emotional states. So I'm going to show you 3 pictures of how this relates to behavioral science. Behavioral science is no different than neurolinguistic programming. The difference is the title and the process in which they go about it. It's the same destination, different road choices to it. So if you see this dog without a leash as you're walking down the street, how are you going to feel? Ranjanique's smiling. He's like, uh-oh. So there's a certain image you have because of what? Maybe a movie, maybe stories, maybe a YouTube video, maybe somebody you knew, maybe you were bit by a dog, maybe you had a little dog and you got bit by a big dog. There's all these stories that wrap in your head within 1.3 milliseconds when you see something like this, right? So all of us have grown up with somebody teased us or gossiped about us. So if you feel other people don't like you, or you see body language that looks like somebody leans over and whispers and smiles while they're glancing at you from the left corner of their eye, it's a feeling of gossip or I'm being talked about. That doesn't mean you are, but these kind of things happen. The programming of your childhood, the things that you believe to be true, or I wouldn't even say true, but that just are. I know Sanila's here, Sanila, and I call you C, but I know you're here, and I know you grew up in a culture where it is completely different to have women in the workplace. And that's a cultural thing you grew up in, and it makes it difficult for the cells to feel comfortable when you're breaking through that ceiling, when you're trying to start your business. That is all internal. This all cellular memory that happens in the body. This is what NLP talks about. So you guys don't know, but Richard Bandler and John Grinder, they started this, but people don't know they started this because they were studying at UC Santa Cruz. They were actually focusing on what was going on at the campus. There was actually a big turmoil, kind of like today, kind of like what's happening with campuses now, where there is a divide or disagreements and protests and arguments. And the question was, why do some people lean towards one area or another? And then what is it that makes people successfully not get involved in these things and not spend so much energy on things they can't change and focused on what they can? And so they really was studying patterns of people and they were focusing on why these people act this way. And because of that, they ended up focusing on developing NLP. Now, there was four other people involved too, but at a time I won't get involved in it. But it became a product that has been passed down. You guys might know Anthony Robbins. He's kind of known now for talking about NLP only because somebody called him out and recognized it. Anybody know what Anthony Robbins does? It's called anchoring. And so if you've seen him ever speak, he claps his hands really hard or he hits his chest. That's called an anchor. And I'm going to show you what that is in NLP and why it's important to consider. And I'm going to ask one of you to participate in that in a minute. Okay. So just keep that in mind. But I'm going to show you why I say this turns into metaphysics and why it turns into spirituality. And this is where people might shut down. This is why I ask you to be open. So this stuff has been going on forever. Pythagoras talks about it. Thoughts is an inner fire that can warm or destroy. He talks about the mind. He discussed the mind and the patterns of the brain. Hermetic principles talks about it. Mantras talk about it. You have people, and neuroscience now talks about it. We now see parts of the brain that are firing with words that you use, with images you see, with your imagination. Did you know that the same part of your brain that focuses on the past life, the past experiences, is the same part of the brain that focuses on the future? So it's ironic to think why people can't complete goals is because they're thinking of the goal as if it's already done, but it's a past tense. So they don't really act on it. So there's a lot of things that you see on YouTube to say, hey, focus on your goal. But you realize when you really understand NLP, it's not the goal you focus on. It's the step that you're in right now that you focus on, not the end result, but the steps. And those are the things that we teach in NLP that's really against the grain that people are used to. So we're going to talk about the reticular activating system too, which really filters everything. Now, again, I'm just proving my point here. You got Carl Jung talks about it. People are categorized by their traits, behaviors, and self-identity they give into basically. So all of us are giving into our personality traits. So I want you to keep up that. So NLP, we're going to focus on three topics today because we only have so much time. Unless you guys want to stay till 10 o'clock or maybe 12 o'clock, you let me know. And Rashawn's in the house. Good to see you, Rashawn. All right, I got Rashawn. I got 700 people on YouTube. Sheesh. Okay. All right, so let's go here. So we got a few of them. These are 7 powerful NLP techniques, but we're only going to focus on 3. We're going to mirror, anchoring, and modeling. I made a decision to focus on those because those are the 3 distinct things that apply to your life really quickly. And so we can probably use them today. Okay. Now, you guys with me here? You still with me? All right. All right. So what is modeling or mirroring? It's really rapport building. All right. So how many of you ever been on a date with somebody? Raise your hand if you've been on a date. Anybody use a virtual raise hand? You can raise your hand. Okay. I don't see raised hands. None of you been on a date? All right, we got to get you on a date. All right. Anybody been on a date? You don't know how to raise your hand virtually. You can just raise it personally. Okay. Well, all of us has been on a date. And I'm gonna tell you right now, if you've ever been on a date, that is the best time you've ever modeled a person. Subconsciously, you're desiring to be liked. You want to be known. After 6 months or so, maybe you don't care, but the first few months, it's all about making sure this person likes you, and you, by conscious nature, will do things to mirror their personality. If they like a certain music, you'll nod your head, "Ah, I like that song. Yeah, yeah." Or they start talking, you'll lean in. If they put their hands on the table, you put your hands on the table. Subconsciously, you have no idea you're doing this sometimes, but you do it. And the question is, how come? Because modeling is a sense of survival. It is just like why people learn languages when they're like infused in the culture. It has nothing to do with being infused in the culture. It is a subconscious trigger that says, if I don't blend in, I'll die. So modeling is a form of survival. Now, for leaders, think about this. You're a manager. You walk in, you're the alpha in the room. So you, by nature, don't look to model anybody. But the people that are below you, they start to look for ways to model you. Now, the danger with that is they never can because they have association with the title manager, director. And this is why I talk to leaders about how to understand behavior. Because if you have a leader in a company that doesn't understand modeling, what happens is you have a attention issue, or you have a morale issue, or you have people that are working strictly for survival. So modeling is a thing that even leaders should do to make people feel you understand them and you can relate to them. It is a really tricky thing to do when you're focused on your title. This is why I don't like titles. This is why I go back to the Gen Z book, what I talked about. When I studied these Gen Z companies, they don't have titles. They have a title. Some of their employees are tall person of influence or person of reason. That's their titles because they don't want a director. They want somebody who comes in and has a reasonable thought process in the noise. And so they say, "Hey, you're the person of reason. What do you think you're hearing?" And that's how they approach the development of their company. It is a game changer in legacy leadership if you can get to that space. But people like people that remind them of them. It's unconscious. So I want you to kind of consider how that works. So let's talk about it. Confucius said, if I teach my people some great words, and by the use and application of these words, they would grow strong. He was talking about that. So I want you to, what I just said, using the words that relate to the person, not your own words. I can tell you right now, when I have people in sales sell me their pitch, they usually use acronyms from their company, or they use vernacular they think I know because they know it. And just that alone turns my subconscious off because now I'm thinking, I don't know what you're talking about. Now I'm thinking, I don't want you to think I'm stupid. So I'm not going to tell you, hey, what does that mean? I'm not going to ask you that question. So understanding the words to use is important. So I'm going to show you a picture right now, and I want you to use the chat, and I want you to tell me what it is that you see. Okay. So I want you, you got to just put it in the, actually think about it first, and then put it in the chat. Okay. So don't say it out loud, but just what do you see right there? Write it in the chat when you're ready. Okay. Rajadink, anybody else want to put it in the chat? Walking stick. Okay. Now, Brian, did you see Rajadink put that in there, or did you actually put that in there too?
Yeah, I put walking stick and but I also see I could use it as a weapon.
Yeah, okay. So what I'm trying to get to is that we all have a certain, like you said, Sanila has branch, okay? You have a different reason why you use the words you use. Now, if I were to say that could be a walking stick, somebody might say, no, it's not. That's a branch. And we start arguing about it, and it becomes our reality. Now we're disagreeing, but we're really not. We just have a perspective of it because we, as nature, we tag things and label things based off of the words we give them. or vice versa. We put a word to what we see. So I want you to look at the next picture I show you, and I want you to look at it without even naming it. Just look at it without even naming it and tell me how hard it is, right? Does it seem impossible to not name that? Because your pictures in your brain work faster than the words in your mind, okay? Does that make sense? I know the brain and mind are two different things, but the pictures that you visualize come first, and the tagging of that image is what dictates the hormones that are populated in your body, which gives you the word. Now, each person is different. This is why training has to be a very personal thing. It can't be a watered down brush stroke thing. So this is where NLP is. It turns you into a very personal approach to your business and to your sales and to your leadership and to your self-development. So this is where we're going. All right, so now I want you guys to actually come up with another word for one of these. Let's go to one, because of time. What's another word for arrogant? Anybody want to put in the chat? What's another word for arrogant? Okay, want to give me a positive word. Rajani, a positive word. Okay, how about, okay, I got all the negative words. Confident. All right, Rashawn, there you go. Rashawn put confident. All right. So you can actually take any negative. Think about that. You can take any negative and make it a positive. You can take confidence, you can put competent, you can put whatever you want, because every word creates a certain energy that is transferred to the person. There's a study that was just done that says that we pick up people's energy. It transfers based off of what they're thinking, changes the aorta frequency, and the other person's aorta in their heart picks up that frequency and interprets it for what it is, the genuinity for it. This has been shown in science. Right now, I just put it up here so you guys know it's not me making this up. This is where the metaphysics comes in and it turns into like really freaky science. That your heart has 40,000 brain-like cells and is picking up different frequencies of the other people around you. And you can always determine if someone's authentic, if they're genuine, if they have a bad intent. It is not rock is not like mystical. It is real. The body picks it up. And so I want you guys to understand this is why NLP is important. So you can become so authentic that you're working on you, that is not about the other person. So I just want to show you this picture. Every cell you can see, you might have heard about this, the Kirkland photography, where they cut the leaf, and then they took another picture, and they can see the energy of that leaf. And so I was going to show you this. I'm going to move fast. That we have this exercise right here. If I do this picture right here, you're going to see that we're nothing but energy. If we go straight down to every nuclei and everything to see the electrons, the atoms to zero and to the electron, all the way down, we're nothing but empty space of energy. So everything you think, every word you have, every process that goes through your brain, which is 40, like thousands and millions of thought processes per day, are changing that energy. So the only thing that really matters in life is you focus on your energy and making sure that you're doing the best you can with the energy. So that's why I wanted to show you that. So now let's go to the exercise. So what I need to do is I need you guys to take a picture of this, and if you want, or snag it or whatnot. And I'm going to ask somebody to be willing to come off camera, come off screen, and do an exercise with me. Anybody willing to do that? Anybody? Who's willing to come off screen and share there and come on camera with me?
I'm good. Go ahead.
I'm not going to use you. I'm going to use Trish. Trish, are you still here? Trish might have went somewhere. Rashawn, let's see. All right,
I'm
Trish.
here. I'm here.
Okay. Trish. All right. So Trish, I'm going to ask you to I'm going to ask you a question, and I'm going to put you up on screen. And I want everybody to pay attention to Trish. I want you to watch Trish, okay? Trish, I want you to actually tell people why who you are, what you do, and then what made you want to join this session. Now, just take note, I have YouTube right now and have 3,000 people watching on YouTube, ironically. But I want to know answer those questions for me, okay? So go ahead and take yourself off of mute and go ahead and start telling us about you.
Hi, I'm Trish. I work in title insurance. I've done this for close to 35 years. I'm a mom of 2 adult daughters. Um, what else do you want to know, Julie?
That was perfect. Thank you so much. All right. So that's all I needed to know. All right. So now I want you guys to consider what you just saw Trish do. All right. So Trish, did you feel any nervousness, any hesitation? How did you feel about that?
Um, no, I didn't, only because I didn't have enough time to to feel
Mm,
nervous about it.
okay. So I want you guys to understand what I just had Trish did. I noticed something, and I want to see if you guys noticed something. All right. So I just asked Trish to do something with me, and I'm gonna see if you guys picked up anything. All right. So in communication, you guys can still see my screen, right? You don't see my notes. You see my screen, all screen, right? Okay. In communication, when people are talking, in NLP, we learn that when people talk, they talk in certain phrases. I see, looks like, show me, visual. If they say auditory, sounds right, hear, listen, kinetic, feel, grasp, get a grip, auditory, makes sense, think, process. So if you saw her talking, you would pay attention to how she communicates. So if she communicates, like she said something, it's that means she's a visual aid person, right? She talks about I do this, I do that. If she says, you know, I feel like, or I hear things, I hear that you want to hear more about what I do. She's a tone. She likes pitch. She's really focused on engagement and dialogue. She likes people to go, really, or oh my God. They people respond to verbal cues. If she says things like I feel or I grasp, I get a grip on things, it turns into this person that likes hands-on. I like to touch things. Auditory. If she chuckled, if she's like she did, you guys heard her chuckle when she laughed. Did you guys hear her chuckle? That's an auditory person. Present data, she's logical, she organized systematically. And you work in title, right? You're a title company, correct, Trish?
Yes, yes.
So she's a title, and I'm gonna tell you, you have to be very detailed. So right there, just hearing her talk, I can tell she's an auditory digital person. So when I'm talking to Trish, if I had to and she chuckled, if I had to talk to her and lead her as a manager, I would make sure that she saw the process in place and she had clear understanding of a process versus I would be more, and a lot of managers will focus on, they might be very auditory. So they might say, you know what I mean? And that's it. But they don't really explain. So understanding the person you're dealing with and learning how to communicate based off of what kind of personality they are, that is really what words mean when it says rapport building and building communication. Has less to do with the words, but understanding how they interpret the words. And so I picked up just from what she does, she fits her job description well because she's an auditory digital person. So just that alone gave me some intel about who she is. And so that's what that means when it comes to bit mirroring. So I want you guys to just take that as an exercise. So the next one is anchoring. Now you got to move fast because I only have so much time. So can somebody tell me who's the best crier on movies? Anybody know who the best crier is? Who's a crier on movie scenes that just cried all the time? A drop of that. Anybody know? I got one. I'm gonna just say it because of time. That person cries all the time. That person could drop a tear. Would you agree? Demi Moore could drop a tear no matter what. People don't know this, but Demi Moore understands anchoring. So anchoring is the hardest one to understand, but I'm going to actually have to do it with you guys anyway. So it's one of those things that helps you change your pattern to how you think and how you feel about any situation. So it's what Anthony Robbins does. And it's what we're going to do right now. So let me have you guys do this. I'm going to stop sharing one more time. And I'm going to ask somebody else to come on board. Who's going to come on board with me? Who wants to do it this time? Trish, thank you, by the way, for doing that. You didn't hang up, did you? Okay. I forgot. Give her a hand, give her a hand, you guys. Thank you, Trish. Thank you. All right. I need one more person to come on scene with me. Anybody else want to come on scene with me? I only got so much time. Come on.
Maybe I.
All right, Ranjanique. Okay. All right, Ranjanique. So, all right. So I want you to actually, how do I do this? Let me see. I'm going to ask you to do me a favor.
Purple.
Well, I'm gonna go back to it. Let me go back to this because I'm actually stepping ahead of my game here. Let me do this first. We're gonna use Ronjanique, but let me share what I mean by that. So when people are uncomfortable, you can tell when they're uncomfortable. So now you saw Trish. She was kind of chuckled, and I did see her blink a little bit more. Her blink rate was moving fast. So you look for sudden changes. You also look for crossed arms, things like that. Some people cross their arm because it's cold, whatever. But if you're in person, you might see feet pulling away. You see little body languages like this. Increased breathing. I noticed Trisha's breath changed. She had shorter breaths, so it was a little bit uncomfortable for her. Now, if I were to ask Ronjanique to do the exact same thing, now I know Ronjanique's in sales, so he's a little different because he's used to talking to strangers. He's used to putting himself in a vulnerable position and maybe getting slapped down verbally. So he would be a different personality to handle this. But if I was to ask Ronjanique to get in front of 5,000 people and do a monologue, he might have the same personality or same behavior because of the thought process of doing that. So here's what you do. People who are uncomfortable, they start touching or covering their mouth, things like that, rubbing their nose or their eyes, putting their hands on their lips. Those are people that have their discomfort. It's a discomforting thing. So what you want to do before you do talk to people with anchoring is, if you need to anchoring, is you first got to know the baseline. You got to know where they start and where they change. So as a leader or when you're dealing with people, you have to have a conversation that's comfortable first to see where they're breathing, their blink rate. And just so you know, NLP, we do that. We focus on the base rate with people. So when I'm talking to a person I'm coaching, it's just a friendly conversation in the beginning because I'm getting a base. I'm looking at their body gestures and body languages. And then when I'm coaching, I can see when those things change. It's very interesting to do, and it's hard for people to do it to themselves. But I'm telling you, as an NLP guy, you can see it very clearly. So what I want you to do is, here's the exercise. And Ranjani, instead of using you, I want everybody to try this. So I'm going to teach you how to do this. I'm not saying it's going to work right now because you're not in a discomfortable situation, because I'm the one doing all the talking, basically. But I want you to take a moment when you're in an opportunity to do this. I want you to, choose a state of mind. I want you all to imagine a time when you felt either confidence, calm, creative, whatever. Just pick a moment that you felt really good about yourself. Can you guys think of that? Okay, now I want you to think of that. Now I want you to actually, this might take, what did you feel this state powerfully? Close your eyes and see it. I want you to actually see it in your brain as if you're imagining you driving the brand new car you want, or you're in the house you want. I want you to imagine what you felt like, and I want you to close your eyes and hear it and feel it. I want you to actually feel that. And this is where the brain is very powerful. You guys know that. You guys have imagination. Now, I want you to intensify that feeling. So you intensify the feeling by making it bigger. You amplify. If somebody were applauding, you have them screaming, like loving what you're doing, or you're just having a moment of complete like joy and feeling so confident in that moment. And then the next thing I want you to do is, I want you to actually press something, either your thumb. I usually press my thumb. You press your thumb, touch your heart. Anthony Robbins does a clap. Clench your fist. Do something right now. Just clench that, or press your thumb or something right now, and just hold it. Just press it as hard as you can that you're comfortable with, and apply that anchor for about literally 2 minutes. And just keep imagining that moment where it's larger and bigger, and you're at the best peak of your calm or creativity or your confidence. And you do that. And now, because of time, I want you guys to take a picture and I want you to try this. Okay. Now, what you do is, as soon as you stop doing that, you're going to stop it again, and then you're going to do it again. You break the state, and then you fire the anchor in return. So that what this means is, whenever you're about to do something that's uncomfortable, or you have to step up your game, which is where Anthony Robbins does, he steps up his energy. It's like you just touch the thumb. And what happens is, the sensory response to that good feeling is focused on the body feeling of that thumb, and your synapses start reminding you of that feeling. The hormones that populate in the body are a part of that feeling, and that's called anchoring. It is something to practice, but you do on a daily basis, and I'm telling you, it works. I mean, literally works. When I was in Bahamas, I spoke, I was like 3,000. It was like 4 or 5,000 on Ron Janik, you know the company. But yeah, it was huge. And I squeezed the crap out of my thumb before I went on stage. And I was pretty calm. So I just want you guys to consider that this does work. If you guys want, I'll give you, by the way, I'll give you a deck of this and some writings on it so you can have it as well. But because what it is the reticular activating system is completely in control of you if you don't control it. It's going to filter and everything out of your brain. It's going to have sensations. It's going to help with learning, but it also is programmed to be consistent. So if you're constantly stressed over something, this is a way to change that stress. Okay. So, and just to prove the point, Emory University did a study. I don't know if you guys heard this on the Diaries of a CEO, but it was an interesting story about how this Emory University did a study about a girl who grew up in a culture where men hit women, and but she had no trauma of being hit. She grew up being hit by her father, and but it was no trauma. She had great, perfect grades, and she was a perfect student, happy, and she grew up in a very violent home, basically compared to the U.S. But when she came to the college and she started going to college in the US, she started watching reality shows, or not reality, but also talk shows, and she saw Oprah. And when she saw Oprah, she saw women talking about how they were hit by their fathers and husbands and how abused they were and how much trauma it was. And all of a sudden, she developed trauma. And all of a sudden, her grades went down. So it was, and she became depressed. And so it was like, huh, I mean, it's perspective, right? It's really interesting how the body sees reality. So we're manipulated by what to be true. So I want you guys to understand you can control the way you think. Now, the reason I bring this up because the body chemicals in our body are only last about 90 seconds or so. But the story we tell ourselves can last a lifetime. So the feeling is only there because you keep reimagining it. So reimagining what you felt good about and pressing your thumb or finding a pressure point on a body that you can relate to, that you make part of that memory, is a great way to retrain your body. So just keep that in mind. So the meta model is the one that most people focus on in training and so especially in coaching. So here's where we get into another part where I want you to consider. If we made this 2 hours, we would break off into groups and you guys would actually do this. And just so you know, my workshop, we do this. It's really a lot of fun. And people break down in tears because we get to know the real root to everything they say. As a leader, you say your rationale, but it's usually about 7 layers deeper. If you ask yourself the same question, you get 7 different answers if you're honest with yourself. The last one is usually the most rooted and the most honest. So what we do in the meta model is we ask questions. So if you say something like this, no one listens to me. If you say things like I always fail, and it goes back to your questions that you answered in 1, 2, 3, 4. She makes me angry, or he doesn't respect me. Any of these feelings come from someplace, and they come from your childhood determination of things. So if you had, people pleaser, if you're a people pleaser, if you find yourself to be a people pleaser, you had to be good to be loved. And so what happens is you can't say no to people. You say yes to everything, or you just agree, or you're very agreeable. And that goes back to culture too, because a lot of people are submissive to their parents, and that becomes part of their adulthood. Same thing with perfectionism. A lot of people can't make mistakes. So what they do is they don't really try hard because they don't want to be judged. My feelings were too much. I personally, for me, I was a latchkey kid and I was very much a loner. So I would sometimes work alone. I do better alone than I do as a team. That's a big struggle for me, and it's something I've been working on. I usually try to take care of everything versus relying on people because my trust factor was impacted as a child. So these are things you got to think about. So when you think about that, those questions, when you see these questions, when you have those questions, you want to start asking yourself these questions to yourself. And you can take a picture of this, and it goes back to understanding your true self is I'm not good enough. Nobody appreciates me. These are questions that the use meta model. Why? Who and why specifically do you feel that way? Always, never, all, none. Can you think of one exception where it wasn't always? How specifically does this happen? And then what would have to happen for that to change and compared to whom and what? This is an exercise that you can do on any level, even when you're dealing with your spouse or friends or people you're talking to when it comes to just when you're working with your employees. If you have a bunch of employees or especially a sales team, get them to understand why they're avoiding something that's uncomfortable. This is a really, really strong way of coaching, and it's actually used in all kind of coaching programs. So again, you're going to ask questions like these are going to help you get more clear on what you're doing. I'm running out of time, so I go on again. So anyway, we actually focus on a few things. Putting it all together, we focus on 3 of the 7. Start every interaction with foundation of all influence for all rapport and before important events anchoring. I want you guys to literally try the anchoring. Next thing just and you can do it on purpose. Like if you're in a grocery store and you're saying, just going to talk to a stranger, the grocer or something or whatever. I'm going to do this exercise, anchoring exercise, see if it takes away the anxiety. Problem solving. This problem solving meta model works personally and professionally. You can do that with your peers. You can do that with your spouses. You can do that with yourself. It's really good. So core. This is where it gets where you have empathy towards other people. Realize the map is not the territory. Your perception is not reality. It's just your interpretation of it. And then people have all the resources they need. You already possess what you need to change. And then there is no failure, only feedback. Every result teaches you something. And then again, the meaning of communication is the response you get, not what you intended. And then if what you're doing isn't working, do something different. That's my whole hope. And then people make the best choices available to them at the time given. So it's one of the things I want you guys to consider because this can go into so many different areas of your life. And I want to see if there's any questions so far because I had a lot of stuff I said. Any feedback or comments about what I just shared? Anybody?
This was great, Julian. A lot of information here to digest. And
It's
I
a
think
lot.
it's going to be practice and repetitiveness to ensure that you take advantage of it because a lot of great information. Appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you, sir. And what I want to make sure you guys know is that my biggest goal right now is to actually do more than I've done from what I used to do. I want to make sure people start learning more about NLP, but not from selling it from a perspective of a product, but really just making it more of a personal interaction with yourself on a daily basis. It really has saved me. Many of you know that I grew up latchkey kid and was abused and all these kind of things. And it was one of the things that actually saved me was really getting into the mind science, understanding how my brain works. Just so you guys know, I would ask you guys I'm going to start building my YouTube channel. So I haven't done it in the past, but I just put it in the chat, all my information that you can find me. It's definitely something I'm going to start doing. If you know anybody, and again, these things that I really focus on, if you want the pivot book, just reach out to me and let me know, and I'll send it to you. If you want to know more about the adaptation to change leadership course, again, that's an 8-hour course. It's an all-day event. It can be an off-site team builder. It's really a lot of fun, but it's something that I want to make sure everybody has access to and that they can actually see how this works from a personal perspective. It really goes into depth. And I know I say a lot, and it's really hard because we're all conditioned to make it quick and easy, but it can't. We can't grow with the quick and easy. It's a lifetime lessons, and it has to take our time to kind of absorb it and apply it to our lives. And we're in a society where everything's quick and easy, and I feel like that's personal experience. I see it as a watered down version of no change. It's just a watered down version of perception of change, and I want to change that myself. So, hope you guys did get something out of it. I think I have about 4 more minutes. I want to make sure that I give you guys your time, but I want to see is there any questions about the meta model, rapport building, or even the anchoring? Anything that you might want to bring up?
Hey, Julian, it's Brian. I've seen like the auditory, visual, kinesthetic,
Mhm.
and studied the eye movement with those two
Yes.
based on lying or truth telling.
Yeah.
But today was the first time I've ever seen the auditory digital. Do you know, is there like an eye movement with that too?
Yes. Yes. 100%. And I can get into detail about that, but yes, just so you know, the human nature is like right now, I just look to the left. I'm looking historically at I'm trying to pull resources out of my brain to tell you what it is. We by nature can't control it. It's on every level. To learn that stuff, here's the danger about learning it. It has to become instinctive. Just like a martial artist doesn't think I need to block here because I see a punch coming. You have to practice it to the point where you absolutely have an image in your head based off of what you see. So most people don't. They focus on what they feel based off of what they felt. Does that make sense? Because you made this face, I felt that face before from my parents. So you're feeling the same way my parents felt. So what happens is we attach things to it. So learning how the eye movements and learning all these things has to be something where you have no title, you have a blank slate with the person you're looking at, and you're able to read the person, not interpret the person from your own personal experiences. It is a exercise, and this is where NLP becomes part of leadership development on a weekly basis. I wish I could pull this into like leadership training on a weekly communicative basis. But yes, I can send you that. If you reach out to me, I'll send you my information on the eye movement, gestures, tonality, and also pasty mouth. So that's one thing we don't talk about too. But for yourself, if your mouth gets pasty, what that actually means when you're talking. So it's really interesting. Great question. Any other questions? All right. All right. Well, I appreciate you guys being here. I really thank you. This is an exercise for me. This was new for me. It was one of those things. Rashawn, you didn't show your face. That's all good. I've known Rashawn for years. I mean, years. And you've always been a great person. Thanks for being here, Rashawn. I really appreciate you. And Nick, thank you for being here. Nick, thank you for always supporting me. And Pullman, you need to know Nick. You guys should know Brian too. And Rajanique, you need to be around more. You really do. And Sandy, you're here too. Thanks for being here. Sandy's my wife, so she might have felt like she had to be here, but thank you, Sandy. So, all right, you guys. Well, you guys have a great day. Thank you. Have a great night. And I hope